This will be a brief video, but it is very important if you're not using this tool already. Most of you Excel whizzes out there are already using this, but for those that are still trying to learn Excel, relatively new to it or not very comfortable, this is an incredibly helpful tool. You'll find yourself using it quite a bit once you kind of understand how it works. So the Format Painter button, all it really does is it copies the formatting from one cell. So that would be the font, style, color, background, the borders, and it will copy that, and then you can essentially paint that into any other cell. So if you click it once, you can paint it once. If you click it twice, you can paint to your heart's desire. So let me just kind of show you how it works here. So let's go ahead, and I have another file where I like this format for my header. So all I'm going to do is click this Format Painter, jump back over to my file with the Control Tab. That's a good shortcut. Use it. And I'm going to drag it across here. And that will change all these cells to the format we had on that other file. Okay, so we're looking better here. So I really want to get this file in a more digestible format. So let's work on putting it in a more aesthetically pleasing configuration. So the first thing I like to do with big data files, and you should do it as well, is go up here and freeze the panes. Because there's 200,000 plus lines here. If you don't freeze these panes, you scroll down, you don't know what you're looking at anymore. You can't see the headers. So another little Excel trick. I wouldn't even call it a trick. It's a feature, pretty basic one. Highlight all these columns, and I'll just choose right in between here where you get these double arrows and double click. So everything kind of fits. So now we can see everything. Nothing's hidden. And now we'll have to go back and make some adjustments later. So let's start using this Format Painter. So I like these work order numbers. Let's make them centered. It just looks a little better there. So we got another one. So instead of clicking center, I'm just going to double click here. So now I have the formatting of this. So I want to center that column. Let's center priority status. Let's center priority. Let's center status. All right, so you see how that works. Click it again to unpaint your brush. Another one I find using a lot is these dates. So we don't need the time, especially when it doesn't seem to give us anything. It's 0, 0. So right click and you go to format cells, or again, you could go Control-1 and it'll bring up the format cells. I like to choose, depending on your preference, your date format. I'm a big fan of this one on the top here. And let's center that one. So now I could go double click here and all of my columns that have a date, let's go with that same format, and it cleans it up a little bit. It's a little easier. And now over here we have costs. There's another one I like to kind of clean the format. So that all the cost columns are in a row. So I could essentially, don't really need the format here, but let's format cells, make them currency. Do you want to show a dollar symbol? Do you not? Let's show it. Do we care about the cents? Do you want decimal places or not? I don't really care in this case. It's depending on the situation. So work order address. You can see this column's real wide. So that means we have something down here that's a real long string of text. So you may want to, again, right click or format cells. You could hit Control-1. Alignment, wrap text. There it is. That's the important one. Wrap that text. That way, if we have long text, let's just put it extra short here. Now we can see we lost it here. Hit this first row, hold Control Shift and hit down. And similar to what we did with the columns, I double click here. It will resize all of our rows. So now we have a little more workable, and we can hit Control T. You know what that does? Tables! And then we can have fun with the data. And if you really want to give your reports, your files, that extra bit of professionalism, I find it's worthwhile to go get your company's official colors. Your marketing department may have it. If you can't get it that way, there's some great tools. Google color picker by image, and you can drop your company's logo in there. It'll tell you exactly what color you need to choose. If you go here to more colors, it'll give you that hex numbers, the red, green, blue. So you can put in those colors, really make your reports look more polished and give you kind of a brand. People will know to expect these kind of clean company colored reports from you. Really help you stand out, because personally, I feel that people are more likely to look at your reports, not just close them right away, if they're formatted in a way that is a little more user friendly and it doesn't look like you're just throwing up a bunch of numbers and data in front of them. So it's really worthwhile to take the extra time to make your reports look nice. And this Format Painter tool is a great way to do that. Another area I find myself using the Format Painter a lot, being in the FP&A background, is putting together financial statements or any really statements where you have subtotals. Let's say here, I have sales, I have all the expenses and gross profit. But let's say I want sales to stand out and I want a total for my costs. So we'll insert a row here, total costs, sum that up. And by holding, I get this little plus sign on the corner of the cell. I drag it to the right. That pulls it to the right. But let's say this doesn't really stand out against the other costs here. So let's make it bold. Let's put a bottom border, a top border. And I want that up here in sales too. I want that to stand out. So I hit the Format Painter, sales, and let's put it down gross profit as well. But you know what? Let's double line that one. Let's make it one bigger to make it really stand out. And there you go. It looks a little cleaner, looks a little more easy to read. Think about your audience. Think about how you can highlight the numbers you want them to look at and really drive home what your analysis is attempting to get across. Today's wisdom is all about getting outside of your comfort zone. I know it's not easy. It's something I've struggled with and something I took a long time to work on, but let me tell you, it's worth it. Every time you kind of push yourself, you feel really good. And really, that's the part of life where growth happens. It's easy every day to go back to your same old routine, to stay in your comfort zone, do the same things you did the day before. And really, it's not your fault. We are biologically designed, our brains are, to avoid risk. And that goes back to when we were cavemen, hunched over, lurking around, trying not to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or whatever other kind of predator was roaming around those days. You're gonna have to push yourself. Make a point of getting outside of your comfort zone. Every time you do it, you'll get that little reward and you're gonna start to crave it. You're gonna wanna get that reward again. I recently hiked at the Red River Gorge. If you're familiar with it, there's a big rock formation out there called Courthouse Rock. And it's not easy to get to the very top. There's a little bit of a rock formation that you kind of have to wedge, push yourself up. And I'm not saying I put my life at risk because it wasn't that dangerous, but there's some danger to it that, you can hurt yourself going up. But you get to that top and you get the most amazing view in the park. You get a 360 view and it's beautiful. I think it really applies to life. Outside of your comfort zone is where you're going to get the best views of life. So I really urge you to try something, if not every day, a few times a week. Push yourself, do something that you wouldn't normally do, something that you want to do, but you're holding yourself back for some reason. And I understand it's not easy and you want to kind of shelter back in where you feel safe. But let me tell you, it's worth it. And it gets easier every time you do it. You start to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. So please do yourself a favor. Get uncomfortable today. Push yourself and you'll be so happy with yourself. Go be great.